Welcome.
Thank
Welcome, everyone, to the Service to the Sacred Summit. We have Erica Jago here. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I have so many questions for you about everything that you have been up to. You are coming out with a new book. I have been able to spend time with your previous book, Art of Attention, and it's a masterpiece and such a gift to the world. So I'm so excited to see what you're coming up with next. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the book?
Yeah, thank you. That makes me really happy to know that you're enjoying the book. That's the whole intention behind anything that I create. The practices of yoga and meditation have been very healing for me. And to incorporate creativity in how I hold my retreats or I design my classes is a part of my art. And this upcoming book is called Angelus. It honors our transition from dark to light, light to dark. And it's a journey through the 7 centers of our body known as chakras. And we follow a heroine who is broken and weak at the beginning of each one of these chapters, and you're beckoned to join her as she finds the strength within, learning how to master and open these energy centers. Every chapter opens with a portrait of her and very evocative storytelling that leads us into 3 sequences that are illustrated with asana glyphs. And those sequences help you master the certain themes that come up in each chakra. And what we want to do, I'm co-authoring this with a friend of mine from Amsterdam, Rose Vanderkamp. Her and I met at a workshop in Amsterdam, and she's attended 3 of my retreats. So when she saw and heard about this story, she said, this is going to be a beautiful opportunity for me to place my art in the book. So she's designing fashion and outfits for our girl to wear, because we believe that as things start to shift on the inside, then you want that to be replicated on the outside. So if you are learning how to come into your power, or you're learning how to shift your perceptions, then there's certain things that you can dress yourself in that express your uniqueness or your individuality. And so she's sewing, designing. I'm helping out a little bit with that. She's also does props. So for example, in chapter 6, when she gets into the attic of her mind, there's a key on the floor. And the key has a blinking eye to represent the 3rd eye. And she picks that up and enters into the 6th chakra. And so Rose built a life-size key that was adorned in beads and gems, and she put her heart and soul into it. So it's very surreal. I'm a huge fan of contemporary art, and I love the way that surreal images make us question our perceptions. So using all of this as a way to let you see and feel the chakras, less intellectual, more about the experience.
Wow. It's so dynamic. It's so dynamic. Just thinking about everything that you're putting into this, all of the different facets, it's so well thought out, which I think is such a big part of what I've seen in your work so far. So for anybody who doesn't know Erica or hasn't seen her work yet, she's a yoga instructor and a designer. And so now we can also say you're an author as well. And it's amazing to see how you're putting all of these pieces together to create this finished product, which, like I said, seems like such a gift. And it also seems like it's going to be really practical for people. So there's the inspiration piece, and then that practical piece of the practices themselves and the teachings. So I would just love to hear about, I would love to hear about the birth of this project, because I think that with everything that's going on politically and the world is changing so much, women really are, and artists in particular, I think, are coming forward as activists through their art. So I would just really love to hear about the birth process with that, because we got to spend some time together I don't even know, it was well over a year ago in a women's circle, and you had mentioned that you were going to be working on this project, and it's amazing to see it coming forward. So tell me a little bit about how that started.
Yeah, well, I talk a lot about getting creative downloads. When something enters into your body, it's a vibration, it's a frequency. And when you feel that, it's a time to acknowledge that spirit or your guides want to collaborate with you in some way. And I honor those creative downloads, and I speak about them a lot. I talked about them on all of my retreats. And finally, once I started to experience myself in my mind's eye, what it would look like to create this book, then I started to attract the things that were needed in order to bring this to life. So that's how Rose came into my life. Um, and without someone else, helping you, sometimes fear or anxiety gets in the way, or your deepest doubts prevent you from going after something that is definitely asking you to turn your life upside down. So there's a lot of sacrifices that have to happen in order for me to bring this book to life. Not taking paid work, crowdfunding. We have to raise $50,000 in order to make this happen. So you're putting yourself out there. And that's what I love about the creative process, is that it always brings you to some sort of truth. It involves your spirituality, your creativity, your sexuality. Everything that lights you up and turns you on is required. And you must come into alignment in order to channel these visions and to channel the activity to produce something. So it's what I live for, in all honesty. I can't wait to do it, even though it's scaring me. But I believe in it.
Yeah, I can really hear that. I can really hear that in your voice and with the passion that you're exuding. And I think that the fear can be so shaky and take us off of our center, but it sounds like you have found a way to really trust those voices, those creative voices. And I was just teaching recently about how we can be occupied by our spirits, like how we can be employed by our spirits, and really take the instructions that we're given full force. And this only came for me through healing my own addictions and my own eating disorder, and really making more space in my body for spirit to move through me. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how your healing journey and your personal practices have allowed you to birth something like this into the world. If you could say a little bit more about how you healed and how this is translating into the book.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your healing. It's really good. Well, the chakra system is what Angelus is all about. And this system I kind of see them as gas tanks in our body, where they can go on empty, and then we need to get them refilled back up. And from my own practices, when I have these so-on called flare-ups, when addictions or negativity or coping mechanisms come up, I've gotten better through age and through practice to recognize them before they go full-blown. So I see the warning signals to them, and I'm able to acknowledge what it is that I need because of the awareness from my meditation or my contemplation practices, and I can catch them before they get full-blown. And once I notice that I'm reaching outside of myself for safety, I'm reaching outside of myself for acknowledgement or appreciation or for love, then I know that that's a signal to place more love in my body. And it's a really difficult thing to do, particularly if you were raised to look outside of yourself, because looking outside of yourself is your comfort zone. So it's very confusing in the healing path to start to acknowledge that that is no longer your comfort zone, that you have to do something different. And the different part, even though it's the healing and most resourceful thing you can do, it feels awkward. It doesn't feel like it's working. And placing my hand on my second chakra, which is where my teacher tells me my safety is located, and bringing my, going inward, and filling myself up. So it's a lot about bringing the earth energy. Mother Earth is here. She's a huge conductor and she can take a lot. So if we can ground the anxiety and the fear into her through an exhale and start that process of releasing and letting go, even though it's the one thing that's comforting us, our fear and anxiety can comfort us when we're learning to switch, but to understand that there's a bigger why. And when we started to create the book Angelus, it took a while to get to the why. Why are we creating this book? And to uncover that, it came to us that there's a lot of pain, like you said, in the world right now. There's a lot of suffering, and that's inevitable. We can't change that. But what we can do is use our bodies, because they are self-generating love machines, that we can transfer. And that's the golden nugget. We can take all of that pain and suffering and we can bring it into our body. And we, with all of our attention and all of our energy, focus where that pain is resonating. Sometimes it's in our shoulders and our neck and our jaw, and we get sciatica. It reveals itself physically. It can also reveal itself in negativity or in disorders, whatever they are, these flare-ups. And then that's the roadmap on where we need to place our love. So exhale into the earth and then receive, which is really hard for people, receive the inhale to draw that abundant energy back up into your body and start to fill the chakra up. That's the gas tank. That's you going to the gas tank and filling yourself up. And that's a huge revelation for me to understand that the source of love and safety that I was seeking and needed in order to go after a project this big came from me. And then working with your identity in the third chakra, knowing who you are, knowing why you do what you do, working with the way you give and receive love into your heart. All of that over time, it started to click. And I promise you, if you stay with it, it's going to click for you, and not particularly you, but anybody who feels lost. And the practice of returning again and again and again is what builds the emotional capacity to deepen and start to understand that this pain is maybe your pain and you're the only one who can solve it.
Wow, I am pausing here because that's a lot to take in. Yeah, but yeah, I feel like with all of the pain that is out and about going on right now, that we really do need these ancient systems of medicine to be translated in these ways where we can take that medicine. And I love that you're into contemporary art and that your book is a contemporary chakra guide. And it's like you're really speaking our language. You're speaking our modern language with the pain in the body. And not that this is new pain, but just the way that we're being asked to show up in the world is requiring us to feel our pain. And I'm hearing that you have done a lot of work in feeling your pain. So one thing that I want to hear a little bit more about is just this. So I think it's really vulnerable and uncomfortable to feel our pain. And I'm wondering how this is for you to bring yourself into your creative process in this very public way with this book and these evocative stories. So maybe you can say a little bit about how you're managing that vulnerability, how you're trusting the story of feeling your pain, and how it is that you're gaining the courage to share that with the rest of us.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when I'm in pain or when I'm in suffering, my old ways were to project out blame and to say, this person is causing me pain. Because of this, I am suffering. And that's a mentality of victimhood. And that really comes, I know I'm not the only one who has this tendency to play victim or had the tendency to play victim. It's a collective consciousness that needs the most healing in my perspective right now. So to understand when I'm literally draining my energy and all of my power by putting the responsibility on someone else, was the biggest way for me to come back in and redirect my energy to what I didn't want to feel. Because we don't, as human beings, we avoid discomfort at the highest cost. And I even notice, like, if I have a lot of stuff on my plate to do and there's a lot of things to get out, I start getting overwhelmed. And that to me is a perspective shift. So to release the victimhood sort of mentality, I need to take responsibility and need to set very clear goals on what I'm doing, and to not let my distractions go from A to B to C to D when it's really E I want to focus on. So having a vision for me is the most important part, is remembering the why. I've said this before too, remembering why you're doing something. I know that my creativity is a light for the world, and it is not something that is just randomly going to happen. I have to envision it and I have to plan it. And Rose, my co-author, has been very good at adding structure in my life. And to designate a certain hour towards one specific thing, and to turn off my phone and to close my email and to only focus on that, has given me a lot of courage and deepening my compassion towards myself. Because if I were to let everything in, if I had no boundaries and let everyone text message me or get distracted on social media, then that pulls away from my real purpose. And that's where I've gained my biggest happiness, is knowing that I'm connected to something. You know, it's my soul work. It's the activity that I put forth in my 8-hour days that matches the destiny of where I want to go.
Wow. Thank you, Erica. That's really powerful. Basically the way that you've used your scheduling and the way that you've used your time to cut out distractions to birth this project. It's reminding me, a teaching that there's a certain amount of discipline required in order for us to feel free, in order for us to create in the world. So thank you for sharing about that. So this summit, the service to the sacred, the symbol that I'm offering out there is that blooming flower, the blooming rose. And so I'd love to hear, that your co-author's name is Rose, and that's really sweet. I wonder if you could say a little bit about the blooming of this vulnerable blooming, this courage that you're talking about coming into the world at this time where activism and courage is required by powerful, grounded women who are willing to feel their pain. So if you could say a little bit about how you're integrating this divine feminine, this birth of a new world, into your work, and is that even a part of your vision?
Oh, for sure. I love this. You know the word fluorescence? Have you ever heard this word before? Yeah. It's part of the gene keys, and Mari Sierra introduced it at our Lamar Yoga retreat, which was an all-women's yoga retreat. We had 25 women from all over the world attend this retreat. It was so potent and powerful. We worked on the archetypes of the woman, and the fluorescence speaks to this quality that every woman has. And it's when we bloom, our mere presence brings this energy, that can shift, something that feels very dense into something that's elevated and raises the vibration. And we don't have to say or do anything. It's something that's felt. And you can tap into that energy at any time. It's just a choice. And what I feel that the victimhood and this, there's a real calling for maturity as women to start taking responsibility. And the structuring of my day has been one way that I've been able to mature and to sit down. This self-care that's kind of in our vocabulary right now, taking warm baths or being kind to yourself, all that's amazing. But self-care to me, and it's not in a harsh way, it's very friendly. It's about really, again, remembering what I want to accomplish and then going after it without letting anything get in my way. And not in a selfish way, but knowing that it's needed in these times. to inspire people. And when it just takes one person to really go after their dream and to go, take that leap of faith, and then it becomes contagious. So that's what to me is like the biggest reward in doing the work that I do.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a plant, for example, that would come up through the concrete. It would do anything to bloom, to shine, to express its fullest nature. Yeah, that's really powerful. That's really powerful that you're going ahead and saying no. It sounds like you might have to do a lot of saying no and really getting focused. It's like a fierce devotion that I'm hearing from you, like a ferocity or a discipline that is like not actually harsh, but is in service to the expression of your soul's creation. So thank you so much for all of that. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how is this book process different from your last book process? Like, where have you seen that maturity, or where are you seeing just a big
Where have I seen a big change? Well, it's really interesting. The first book just sort of took over. It wasn't a whole lot of strategy. It was just a matter of Elena and I, text messaging and working from New York to Hawaii remotely. It would sometimes strike in the middle of the night. We'd get up early because of the time differences. It just had its own flow. This book has been incubating for about 3 years. As I said, it took me a while to find Rose and to have the help that I needed to get this out with the structure that she offers, with the creativity that she offers. What's different about this book as compared to the next one is that I've been way more courageous in the graphic design, using bold colors. But what I am sticking with, and something that has been challenging me, is that I've been trying to incorporate what I'm learning in the moment into the book, and that's been putting a lot of pressure on me to try to not only process in my own body cathartically what it is that's happening emotionally or mentally or spiritually, and then trying to put that into a book, and then worrying about how someone might receive it and how it's going to be perceived. What I've done is I've just let all of that go, and I've stuck to what I know. And the book is very inspiring, even though it is transitioning from our pain to our purpose and from dark to light. We touch upon where we might be struggling and where our life's challenges are, but we get directly into how you're raising your vibration and the affirmations. And, Louise Hayes does it so amazing. She just focuses on the good, and I think there's something to be said about that. This drama that we were talking about before with the victimhood, the tendency to put the blame, that contraction and expansion is the universal law. Yes, of course, we need to do that in order to function, but there's also a healthy way of doing it. Rather than placing blame or putting responsibility on someone else, this book teaches you to go inside and start filling up your own chakra system with your own attention, with your own energy, and through your own daily choices. So I'm just keeping it very simple. I'm taking the pressure off of myself, and I'm just sticking to what I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying, in sticking to what you know. And it sounds like, yeah, this birth process has been going on for quite some time. And I can't wait to see what you're going to create. The title of the book is really what attracted me to calling you into this summit, Service to the Sacred, because for me, what it is about is kind of stepping into an angelic realm of the time on the planet right now. And I'm not going to get very esoteric with it or anything, but this concept of bringing heaven to earth through our creativity, through the art, through the service, through the activism, through whatever it is that is our unique expression. So I was wondering, I'm hearing you say Angelus, but I'm wondering if you could talk about the title and if you can connect that to what the world is really needing right now.
Mhm. Yeah, oh, thank you for asking. Angelus is a word that I read in a Paulo Coelho book, and he was speaking distinctly to Catholicism, how they use that word to describe when the veil is the thinnest between day and night and heaven and earth. And it happens twice a day, when the sun sets and when the sun rises. So that when I read that in the book, it talked about how there's hidden gems in all of us, and that we're more powerful than we believe. And that transition is something that can be honored twice a day. And even in India, when I was there, they ring bells. They all honor that transition. And you're right. It's when our angels and our guides have the closest communication to us as we go through that time period. So it also represents angel in all of us, Angelus. So that's, and the dark to night, the chakra system works with balance and imbalance, the ebb and the flow, the night and the day. So it just fit perfectly and very symbolic because it is a surrealistic art project.
Yes, yes, yes. That's beautiful. So I'm seeing how the the name is symbolic, and I can imagine that the book is going to be full of, well, you work so much with symbol. I've seen in your work with the asana glyphs and with your art, and I'm really, really excited to see everything that you come up with. So I think I had one more question just based on what you were just talking about, something that I feel really curious about, but it skipped me. So maybe you can talk a little bit the the Kickstarter and about what the offerings are, and how we can support you, and what it is that you're offering.
Thank you. Yeah, crowdfunding is a beautiful way for independent artists to go after dream projects and to start a movement. And our movement is to help people move from pain to purpose. So the way that you would get a copy of this book is to first contribute to the Kickstarter campaign, which is which is live now, and you're logging on to our Kickstarter page. There's a bunch of perks, so things that we want to offer you in exchange for your support. First of is a download. You can get chapter 6 right away. Rose and I spent 6 months together in Amsterdam, sewing the outfits, doing the photo shoot, filming the video for it, and now there's 3 sequences that work with your perception. They help you create a vision, and then they also, what is the third sequence? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, flow state, when you take your actions and you match it with how you want to be. So those 3 sequences involve Kundalini, there's a beginner meditation, there's vinyasa flow, and a lot of restorative too. So we're watching the tracking of our eyes as a way of watching the trackings of the mind. And you can download that PDF instantly by contributing to the Kickstarter campaign. And then once we reach our funding, then I go back to Amsterdam and work with Rose to produce the final 6 chapters. And each chapter becomes a visual world. So chapter 1 is all black compared to chapter 7, which is all white. And the girl moves through the body of her house. She starts in her bedroom, goes to the bathroom, the kitchen, the garden, the attic or the art studio for the throat, the attic for the third eye, and then she's on the roof of the house for her 7th chakra. So we have other different perks. We have some personalized oils that enhance through aromatherapy the emotional benefits of the chakras. We're putting together some workshops. So if you want me to come to your hometown and give a 3 or 5 day workshop on the chakras, we can do that. There's some spots on my upcoming retreat that you can attend if you contribute to the Kickstarter campaign. So there's multiple reasons on why you would want to get involved, not only for your own healing and creativity, but also to support artists who are really going after something and asking for funding, so that we don't have to go to publishing houses. We can do it in the comfort of our own home, which is very empowering.
Yeah, thank you, Erica, for explaining that. I have seen what you put out so far, and it's incredible. And I can't even imagine what the support of the Kickstarter is going to do for just helping you get the rest of this book out there. And so I'm wondering if you could say a little bit now about other women out there who have a blooming expression as a seed, waiting inside of them, and what it is that you would say to them, almost as if you were talking to yourself, before you were able to really feel your pain, and before you were able to hear. What kind of message would you send to women or just people like that?
Oh my gosh, if you have a download or something inside of you where everything else pales in comparison, I say go for it. It's needed. We're given that gift for a reason. And the one thing to do, like I was saying before, just evangelize that to everyone. Let everyone know what you're doing. The more you share it with family and friends, the more you're held accountable to actually make that happen. And then look at your schedule and say, where in my schedule can I dedicate 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a week towards fulfilling this dream? And then give yourself rewards around it. Like if you accomplish it, congratulate yourself. Don't make this into, oh, I'm not doing it. Look at how I'm failing. I'm not talented enough. Don't let fear come in. Let all of that doubt out and focus on your strengths with it. So if you have any issue at all, I would also recommend the Handout group for support. This was a big methodology for me that allowed me to see my dream, helped me define my current situation, and then got me even 6 layers deeper than that and had me look at all the bullshit that was stopping me from making this come into fruition. And that right there is usually sometimes the starting place. Look at all the excuses on why you're not doing it, and then address those first. And if you can acknowledge those, then you can flip the switch.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of empowerment in that process, and with such passion that you're expressing about it. The Handel method, I'll put it in the notes when this is shared, and I have seen you talk about it before, so I am going to look into that more myself. And I'm hearing that you're really wanting people to let go of those excuses and focus on the goal. And I'm also hearing that like there's a lot of compassion behind your voice as well, like having that compassion and that love for yourself. And this summit to me is so much about people knowing how worthy they are to serve the sacred, how worthy they are to, like you said, I love that word, evangelize and consecrate everything it is that you're creating, because it is only us that can bring these heavenly energies back to earth again. So thank you so much, Erica. Thank you so much. This is really valuable. And I am so excited for your book to come out. I'm so excited for the success of your Kickstarter. And I'm wondering if there was anything else that you wanted to share with us.
I just want to say thank you for creating this summit. This is incredible. I know when I first came into my awakening, it was summits like these that gave me the inspiration and the vocabulary on what I needed on how to learn how to talk to myself. So what you're doing right now is monumental. Thank you so much for including me in this.
You're so welcome, Erica. And so what is going to happen is I'm going to be sharing this, and hopefully the word spreads about this amazing work that you're doing, because you are really showing us how to take exquisite care of ourselves, how to focus on our goals, listen to those angels and those guides. I heard you also say to go ahead and give it all to the Divine Mother, which is really sticking with me right now. And we can create heaven on earth. So I am really appreciating every word that you spoke. I'm appreciating all of your time that you took out of your creative schedule. And thank you out there to Rose, who's your angel and your right hand woman. Bless your heart.
Blessed heart. Thank you.
Bye, Erica.